Hello and welcome to this presentation on supervolcanoes. This video is going to provide you with the knowledge to be able to answer the following 5 questions. What are supervolcanoes and how do we define them? How and why do supervolcanoes form? What are the characteristic features of a supervolcano? If there was an eruption, what would the impacts be? And then what are the similarities and differences between a normal volcano and a supervolcano? So firstly, what are supervolcanoes like? They are rare volcanoes and they are found at hotspots. This is where plumes of magma rise from the mantle and they occur in the middle of continental plates. A supervolcano does not have a classic peak or a volcano cone shape. Instead, they tend to be sunken into the ground and they're surrounded by an area of higher land. They are flat. They erupt in a much bigger scale than a normal volcano. For example, they erupt 1,000 kilometers cubed amount of material. The picture here shows you Yellowstone National Park. The area of highland that I've mentioned, you can see sitting along this edge, and the flat land that I've mentioned is this area left here. So once the supervolcano has erupted and the magma has come out from underneath the ground, the supervolcano collapses in on itself, forming this caldera with this ridge of high land around the edge and this flat area of land in the centre. So what are the characteristics of a supervolcano? Firstly, they are flat, which varies from a normal volcano, as normal volcanoes are cone-shaped. The supervolcano has a ridge of higher land around the edge of it, which marks the edge of the actual volcano itself. And this depression, or this area of flat land, has a specific term. It's called a caldera. They cover a large area. For example, Yellowstone National Park is 55 kilometres by 80 kilometres with a 64 kilometres wide magma chamber beneath the surface. And in fact, we use the term magma basin rather than chamber because it doesn't have the similar shape as a normal volcano does. It kind of has this flat, elongated shape underneath, or so the theory goes. Supervolcanoes also erupt less frequently, hundreds of thousands of years apart. Those are the key characteristics that you need to remember for a question about supervolcanoes and their key features. So how and why do supervolcanoes form? Here I've got 3 diagrams showing you the sequence involved in their formation. Number 1 shows the rising magma from the mantle cannot escape, and this causes a large bulge to appear on the surface. And we can see that the crust is being uplifted because of this magma intruding and pushing up into the crust. Stage 2, you get cracks appearing in the surface. So we call that, the geographical term for this is fissures, and the gas and the ash erupt from the magma chamber. So when the pressure becomes too much in that magma basin, the magma chamber, it finds its way up through these cracks in the overlying rock and it's going to escape. As the material is expelled from the magma basin to the surface, it's going to empty all its contents. And this is what happens in stage 3. When all that magma has been released, all that gas has been released, the magma chamber collapses and the rock that was overlying the magma basin subsides, and this causes a depression to form, and that's called a caldera. So we get this area of high land on the sides, the ridge, and we get this basin in the middle because the land has subsided, because the magma that was pushing it up is no longer there, it's emptied, and then over time it's going to build up again. The third question to focus on is what would the impacts of a supervolcanic eruption be? It is predicted that 8,700 people would die as a result of the supervolcanic eruption. 1 in 3 people would be killed within 1,000 kilometres of the eruption going off. It would cause an ash cloud to rise 40 to 50 kilometres into the atmosphere, and this ash would destroy 1,000 kilometres squared of land. The ash would cover buildings and cause them to collapse. It would ground plains and make road transport difficult. Livestock, such as cattle, would choke in the hot ash. Temperatures maybe fall by 12 to 15 degrees, and this will make it difficult to grow food in many areas. Parts of Europe, America and Asia would see constant snow cover for 3 years. This could cause crops to fail, as monsoon rains could fail too. This could result in 40% of the population facing starvation. So quite a lot of doom and gloom associated with a supervolcanic eruption. Remember, these are predictions, but due to the power of a supervolcanic eruption, the impacts would be larger, possibly, than a normal volcano. And as you can see here, the impacts of a supervolcanic eruption would be global. Normal volcanoes sometimes have global impacts, such as the Iceland volcano. However, the impacts tend to be more localised than that of the supervolcanic eruption described here. So the similarities and differences that exist between a normal volcano and a supervolcano relate to how much material is ejected, their shape and their impacts. I have structured it here into a table so that you can complete a like-for-like structure, because usually this information will be tested in a compare and contrast question. So a normal volcano erupts 1 kilometre cubed of material when the eruption goes off. In contrast, a supervolcano erupts 1,000 kilometre cubed of material, so a lot more than a normal volcano does. A normal volcano is cone-shaped. A supervolcano is flat. A normal volcano has a crater. A supervolcano has a depression called a caldera, and this forms as a result of the magma basin collapsing. A normal volcano has a circular magma chamber. A supervolcano has an oval magma basin. A normal volcano, when it erupts, its impacts are usually localised, affecting the people that live in that country or more immediate area. A supervolcano, its impacts are global and could potentially cause widespread starvation. So from this video, you should have the knowledge to answer the following questions. What are supervolcanoes? How and why do they form? What are their characteristic features? What would the impacts of a supervolcanic eruption be? And what are the similarities and differences between a normal volcano and a supervolcano? That completes this video.